Hello and welcome to the latest edition of Frozen Cups and Hot Chips. I'm your host, Terrell Dupree. We're here at Brothers Chops, Seafood, and Spirits, located at East Plume Street here in the city of Norfolk, Virginia. And of course, we're here with one of the absolute best and brightest, Mr. RaJazz Brown of the amazing group RaJazz. RaJazz, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Terrell. Thank you for having me.
Certainly, and I know you have an event scheduled at this beautiful venue this evening, and so we're on a short schedule. Thank you so much for fitting us in, but we wanted to shine a light on a jewel in this city, and we really appreciate you.
Thank you, homeboy.
Definitely. RaJazz and a number of different bands throughout Hampton Roads certainly put an indelible mark in our region, and we're going to touch on the chronological order of what brought RaJazz to our area, how he's made his impact, and what the future holds for him and his amazing group. But we're going to jump right into it, RaJazz. Again, just so happy to have you, and I'm a true fan of the band and all of that. But talk to us about 1978 in North Chicago and your musical background.
Yeah, I have been in North Chicago since '74. Right out of grad school, I went to the University of Michigan. And right out of grad school, I took a teaching job at a high school in North Chicago. And I was there for 4 years. Our jazz band, while we were there, we won Best in the State for 3 years, concert band, marching band. And I felt like I had done what I could do in a community high school. So that summer of '78, I started looking for possible other jobs, other places to go. And I interviewed for a couple of jobs up there, Northern Illinois, Western Illinois, Governor State. And they were all college jobs, which is what I really wanted at the time. Didn't pan out, and I had an envelope on my coffee table for Norfolk Public Schools. Interesting thing about it, I almost came to Norfolk Public Schools in 1974 out of undergrad, but I took a high school job. So anyway, I saw the envelope, and it was an invitation to come interview for a job at Booker T. Washington High School.
Lineage.
Okay, so I came down. Booker T probably was 3 or 4 years old at that time, brand new school. I had a possibility to grow because there was a limited amount of people in the suburbs of Chicago. So I came, and I took the job at Booker T. Washington, and I was doing the marching band, jazz band, concert band, but I always wanted a college gig.
Okay.
So while I was at Booker T, I was trying to build a portfolio so I could draw some attention to myself for college jobs. So after 2 years of working in the public schools, but it was a great gig because it gave me an opportunity to learn Norfolk.
Okay.
Was
that your first time in the area?
Yeah, first time in the area. And it gave me so when you work at Booker T, you work at the hub, the core of blackness in this area.
Oh, yes.
Preparing me for Norfolk State. So when a job opened up at Norfolk State, I took the job. I was the arranger and assistant band director at the university. Working with a guy named Emery Fears, who everybody's heard of.
Oh, yes.
And so during that time, my basic job was working with the band, writing for the band rehearsals, the whole 9 yards. After a couple of years, the guy who was doing jazz studies decided he would go take a job in L.A. So they didn't hire me right then. They hired a guy named Philippe Fields. Philippe Fields had a well-known group called Quiet Fire, and he took the job. So after a few years, I got the appointment to be the jazz band director, probably '86. So from there, I did jazz ensemble, kept doing the marching band, the pep band, arranging for the band. Very busy, and teaching classes.
Music lover.
Yeah, but it was rough. But during the '80s, we decided we would start a group called Blue Wind. And this group used to play parties for Harrison B. Wilson. That was all we was playing for, Wilson. Dr. Wilson, the president.
That's right.
And from Blue Wind, we started playing at little nightclubs like Raphael, Foxtrot.
We taking y'all back there, memory lane.
So we eventually got rid of one member, and Reggie, the trombone trumpet player, he said, if I start a group, would you play for me? I said, yeah, I play. So we co-ran the group. It was called Good Life. And I was in Good Life almost 18 years.
Everybody knows the Good Life band.
And the Good Life was the precursor for the group RaJazz. So after about 18 years of Good Life, I started RaJazz.
Okay.
RaJazz is really my name, RaJazz. RaJazz.
Wow. Teach him, Mr. Brown.
My daughter wanted me to have a personalized license plate, so she said RaJazz. And I hadn't even started the group when I came up with the plate, but when I did start the group, that was the name of the group.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. Originality, and no one can, as the kids say, bite it. I want to just take a little pause, just a pivot. You mentioned something about 1980s. Coming into Norfolk, and you're right. We had one of the great alums, Chris Elliott, one of our past guests on the show. He's a Booker T alum,
Right.
and he talked about that really nostalgic lineage that high school presents. But take us back to 1980.
Well.
Can you bring us back on campus, 1980s,
1980.
Norfolk State? Tell us about the Spartan Legion. What was the energy like then?
Well, historically, the Spartan Legion had already been a real strong program. Otherwise, I never would have gone over there.
Oh,
I went over there to be assistant veteran. You know, in my mind, I should have been a veteran somewhere. You know,
Right.
but the guy that I was working for, Emory Fears, had already developed a solid band program. What drew me to Norfolk State back then was not just the marching band, not the jazz band because I wasn't doing that, but the concert band. Historically, HBCUs have not been strong in concert band. They've been strong in marching band and jazz band.
Touch on that a little more. Why is that?
Well, because a lot of HBCU bands spend most of their time generating budgets for the band, and the way they get it is on the football field because more people see that.
That's right.
A lot of people, you have to have an appreciation for art to get into the concert band and even the jazz ensemble. So when you spend most of your time recruiting and trying to get people to come to games and do that, you kind of like, you can't do everything.
True.
But one of the things Emory did, he had both things. He had concert band and marching band. So those early years, the band was smaller.
Okay.
I think my first year was like 90.
Spartan Legion at 90.
Wow. 90. And then we got up to, I think in 81, we got up to like 120.
Okay.
And it kept growing. I was with Emory for at least 11 years. He retired in 91. And then I worked as the arranger for Mr. Alzy Walker, who was a Booker T alum
I'm
too.
Familiar. Definitely.
His uncle Reggie Walker was the band director over there.
Okay.
So I arranged for him, and as we got into the 2000 when Walker left, I did some arranging for O'Neal Sanford, who was also there.
Okay.
So, but Norfolk State, the campus was smaller. It was, but actually I take that back. Late 80s, Norfolk State had grown to be the second largest HBCU
That's right.
in the country.
It's the go-go era.
Yeah.
EU, Howard University, all of that.
Because Southern University was the largest,
Right.
but Norfolk State, people didn't know it, but was the second or third largest black college. But one of the things that was different back then, we didn't have requirements to get in school.
True.
We didn't have to have a SAT or ACT
ACT was
score.
the easiest to get in, the hardest to get out.
Yeah,
that's true too.
All right. So the 80s was a great time. By being there since the 80s, I've gotten a chance to see the university change, to see more requirements, to see the students change. So it's been an interesting progression for me.
Just real quick, in that lane of Spartan Legions, coming off of a monumental year, actually I think they were voted one of the top HBCU bands, if not the top, Charge It to My Heart, not my head, Spartan Legion. But what would you say to the ascent of the Spartan Legion and that program in itself?
The program has always had high standards. A lot of these standards, a culture of quality performances, great movement on the field, and great playing. A lot of bands can shake their booty and go like that, but Norfolk State has always been a band that can shake the booty and play.
Crystal clear
move.
sound. Yes, sir.
So first, by having a legacy like what Fears left there, and even J.J. Ballou, but Fears particularly, that was the people who came in behind him continued that legacy, continued quality and great movements on the field.
You talked about the influence of HBCUs and even the band itself, growing up in the area as well. You're right, Norfolk State was our community band. Wherever they were, any parade we would go to. And conversely, the Good Life Band and RaJazz, you all have that kind of footprint in our area.
Yeah.
How important is it for someone to recognize that craft? Let's just say RaJazz, Good Life Band, you were able to, elevate and transition, but that same bar, that same professionalism.
Yeah,
How important is it
exactly.
to maintain that?
If we have younger bands that are coming around and coming behind us, they need to see bands that exemplify quality, professionalism. So to keep it going on a certain level. So many people over the last few years have found out just how good the musicians are in this area. This venue we're in right now, Tony Brothers Restaurant, he has exposed so many young musicians that never would have had the opportunity to play with national artists. We've always known the talent was here, but Tony has invested in it by not just letting these people come in town and telling them to bring their band. No. He said, I got bands here. And he has a way of introducing our community to what talent is already here.
A very, very plausible networking system of the great talent that he has. Now, you kind of took a page out of that playbook because you yourself have your hand on the pulse of some great musicians. That's the reason why you were able to take your band and go all over. Talk to me about some of the prestigious places. I want to say I did a little research. Inaugurations, you all have played all over. Share with us.
We had a chance with Obama.
Y'all see that smile?
We had a chance. His second year, his second inauguration. We had a chance to play an event up there, not the main one, but one of the events in the city for that inauguration. And over the years, getting a chance to play at the largest music festival in this area, not the Hampton Jazz Festival, which we did play in 2012.
Tell them which one
but
it was.
Also the American Music Festival. The American Music Festival, it has been until Pharrell's event, had been the largest music festival. We had a chance to do that. We've played at the Bayou Classic for several times, down there for State Farm, Mr. Alvin Keels. And we played in...
Shout out to Alvin Keels.
Alvin Keels, that's right. We played the St. Lucia Jazz Festival, St. Kitts Jazz Festival. So we've had a chance to get around. We played in New York several times, different private parties at the same church they buried Luther in. They have a concert hall at that church.
Wow.
Played up there a few times. So we've been around. But you always talk about what's next for RaJazz.
Yes.
Well, what's next for RaJazz is I'm retiring.
You heard it here first.
Yeah, I'm planning to retire this summer. And I'm leaving Norfolk State as well as that.
Man, y'all hear this?
Yeah, so it was great to be able to do this because it's some closure to what I've tried to do here. And to have, like this young man, he's one of the students at Norfolk State.
All right.
He studies with Stephanie, Miss Sanders, but he's also in the program that I coordinated at Norfolk State for years.
Yes.
So having the talent, a lot of the people who play here during the week, David Booker, former student, Brett, Bam Bam, former student. So it's a lot of talent that I've seen come through this venue, playing with some of the larger bands that I can say, okay, well, I had a little to do with this, to do with this.
Yeah, you did. We talked about it at the front of the show here at Brothers Chops Seafood and Spirits. RaJazz has a performance tonight, and we won't take up any more of the King's time. We appreciate him. Yes, he's leaving our area and retiring, but he's forever a part of Frozen Cups and Hot Chips in our Tidewater region and beyond. Mr. Rogers Brown, thank you so much for sharing your time, your energy, and just being who you are to us. We appreciate you.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much for having me.
Definitely. Always the best and brightest. We appreciate you joining us. We'll see you next time. I'm Terrell Dupree, and this has been Frozen Cups and Hot Chips.
All right.